What's up, everybody? Divine here. I wanted to make a video talking about Ayaka versus Ganyu and some things I've been seeing like after going through like some of the predictions. I'm gonna say predictions because you know leaks. But after going through all this, I've been hearing a lot of people talk about Ayaka and basically how like, oh well, Ganyu does all this, isn't it? So why pull for Ayaka? And I want to talk about Ayaka and Ganyu, what they both provide, and how they actually don't even compete with each other. But let's get started with it. Let's get into it. We don't have Ayaka right now in game, so I can't fully like speak on Ayaka and what she can do. But right now, as it is, we do have, characters like Ganyu and other characters in the game, and we do kind of know what Ayaka looks like and what she's going to be able to do, and sort of her kit, right? We know her kit. I'm saying that with not exclamation, and you get it, right? But Ganyu. Let's talk about Ganyu first, since she's actually in the game, her kit, and what she can do. Ganyu is a bow user, and she is a cryo bow user who has, for one, on her E, she has a taunt, right, that deals cryo damage upon release and upon explosion. She has a ult that you have infinite uptime on, that costs only 60 energy, and she has a double charge shot which does AoE damage, and you see scales like crack, literally scales like crack. But she also like levels up with crit damage, and Ganyu is very good, and I'm not gonna act like Ganyu is not good and is not great at DPS. She's fantastic, and she's still the top cryo DPS. I think to this day, and it's probably gonna do raw damage wise, do more raw damage than Ayaka. But I think consistent damage, Ayaka's gonna beat her out. So let's talk about Ayaka, her kit, and what you would get with Ayaka. All of this stuff isn't confirmed because Ayaka isn't in game yet, of course, but we do like, this is what you can sort of, I guess, well, I wouldn't say expect this because of course I said again it can change and all of that, but this is something to keep in mind and what they might go in the general direction of Ayaka with. But Ayaka off rip is a cryo sword user, so I would say she more competes with Kaya than anyone, but there's a difference between her and Kaya, which is when she sprints, and she has a sprint like Mona, by the way. When she sprints, she gets cryo infusion, and once you ascend her, she actually has a talent that when you sprint and come out of your sprint, you gain for 110 stamina, which covers the sprint itself. But then you get 10% cryo damage. And then on top of that, her skill is just basically like a AoE cryo hit. It knocks opponents up and all that stuff. But then her ult, and this is where things get really kind of really good. Her ult does a lot of damage. Like, I would say like it does a lot of consistent damage. It's like you get hit with like multiple slashes, and at higher constellations you get more of them. But basically you hit the opponent with like a bunch of like this big storm, and it just does a bunch of slashing cryo damage and then explodes, and this adds up to a lot of damage. But I also want to talk about the way you would play Ayaka compared to a Ganyu. With Ganyu, it's easy to see that Ganyu's abilities are good for on field and off field. Like, she can be on field and off field at any time because her skills, for one, applies a lot of cryo and are great for off field, like for example the taunt and her ult. But you can also use her as a DPS with her charge shots, and this gives Ganyu the role of a hybrid, a character who can do both. She can be like a sub DPS and DPS at the same time. She can do either one if you really want her to. But with Ayaka, her talents, the way her talents are skewed, does not allow for easy, sub DPS. For one, Ayaka's skill isn't an off-field skill. It's something you actually have to be on Ayaka to use. And then same with her burst. Even though her burst does come out and it's like a big storm damage that's out there that you can switch, it's still like mainly like you mainly want to be on Ayaka for when playing Ayaka. But the way her second passive works is after using her skill, Kamisato Arc Hyoka, after using it you gain 30% normal and charged attack damage. So if you look at this and you look at, for one, Ganyu's talents. Let's look at Ganyu's talents. Ganyu, her crit rate for next Frost Flake arrows, that's a DPS talent, I would say, and that's a really good talent. But also she boosts cryo damage for people within her ult, and that talent alone gives Ganyu that hybrid role. That's the reason Ganyu can be such a good hybrid, is that she gives extra cryo damage, and so therefore she's good in cryo teams. And it's really nice, to have that. But with Ayaka, both of her passives lead to her herself doing more damage and her herself getting bonus. Because I'm pretty sure that bonus when you leave her sprint is going to give you cryo damage to Ayaka, not everyone else. And so with that, I believe the way Ayaka is played is completely different than the way Ganyu is played. They are both played DPSs, and on the face of it, they both look like, DPSs. But when you look at Ganyu's kit compared to Ayaka's kit, Ayaka is clearly made to DPS and only DPS. She's made to basically DPS or sub-DPS. That's it. Ganyu is made, she can be used off-field, on-field, whatever the hell you want, to be honest. She can use a physical set, she cannot. Like, when it comes to Ayaka and the way Ayaka is looking up to be right now, I would say Ayaka is looking like a character who's going to be very much on the elemental fusion side of things, and is going to be like a smothering, consistent, Kaching-esque cryo character. So I see a lot of people comparing Ganyu to Ayaka, and Ayaka to like Eula, because they're cryo characters and because of like her burst doing a lot of damage. But I think this is the incorrect way to look at Ayaka. I think the better way to look at Ayaka is look at her from a standpoint of she's like Kaching, because she's a sword user, she has elemental fusion just like Kaching, and she can easily, do consistent damage with her ult. Like, cause Shing does the same thing. She does multiple hits during her ult that leads to a big burst of damage. And with Kaching, hers costs only 40, so it's easily spammable and doesn't, do a crackhead amount of damage. With Ayaka, you're gonna have an 80 energy cost, so it's gonna do more damage because of the higher energy. And this whole video, the whole point of this video was basically to clear up. Basically, Ayaka is not gonna very much compete, I think, with Ganyu. On a base level, if you're looking at this very simple, yes. But in terms of what they what Ayaka and Ganyu do, yes, they both can DPS and they're both cryo DPSs. But at the end of the day, Ayaka is gonna be way more in your face, dashing around all around you, and Ganyu is gonna be more of stand back, shoot a charge shot across the room, and maybe boost everyone else's cryo damage if you have double cryo in your team and shit like that. But yeah, that's just the video. I wanted to just clear that up because I see a lot of people talking about Ayaka, and I see a lot of people saying things about Ayaka that I think is just, silly. But also, I wanted to just talk about a little bit of her kit and the way she works and what I think will work on Ayaka compared to Ganyu. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, all that is much appreciated. See ya and peace.